All right, we are application security programming, COMP3026. Again, meeting Thursdays between 2 and 5 here. Really what we want to try and do with this course is talk about almost like enterprise computing 2. That's what really we're going into, almost like a second part of that enterprise computing class that you would do in COMP 2007. Now Jeff is doing that together. I don't know how that's going to pan out for you. But if you've already done enterprise computing COMP 2007 with ASP.NET with Rich, right? Then this class is a natural progression from that one. We're going to be using Visual Studio, right? So we're not going to use any kind of tools that you can't work from home. So there won't be that complaint like we had last semester. Tom, I can't work on these tools. I got to come in, right? So all the tools you'll see will be the ones that you've already seen before. They're not going to be something that you haven't used or you haven't seen, right? That's the number one. That's a good thing. We're going to be using this book. I'm not going to make you get the book or require it. It's called Professional ASP.NET MVC5 from Rux. These guys here, from a bunch of different authors, Galloway, Wilson, Allen, and Mattson. It's a 2014 book. It's not a bad little book for MVC5. And then I'll also be using a little handbook. It's a small little handbook called The Manager's Guide to Web Application Security. I'm going to probably start off with a little bit of that, if not this week, then next week. And we'll talk about that as well. So there'll be two pieces to it. Why MVC5? And how is that related to security? Well, there's a lot more security aspects to the MVC platform, and that's one of the reasons why they kind of developed MVC, right? Model View Controller with ASP.NET, as opposed to staying with the old ASP.NET web forms. Web forms still being used 70% of the industry out there. If you know web forms, you're good to go. Truly. The other 30% MVC is the new way of doing things, and if you know a little bit about Angular JS and all that stuff, and some of the newer frameworks, they're all MVC frameworks. Even the stuff we just did with COMP3025 in pervasive and mobile computing, we used a kind of an MVC pattern, a view controller, if you will. So it's kind of everywhere right now where you have MVC pattern, and that's why we're going to be using it here, almost like an enterprise computing level 2. That's what it would be. My contact information is the same as always. Let's talk about the assignments. In this course, my plan is to do 3 assignments. Welcome. If you can sign in. 3, you have to get a pen from one of these guys. 3 assignments and 2 tests and a couple of exams. Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit. So I have 3 assignments planned, and I'll show you where they are. One of them is mandatory. The first one is mandatory, and one of the others you have to do. But the third assignment is optional. I'll tell you why. You have an option of either doing an assignment. I
think so. Someone already signed it.
Wonderful. You have an option to do either an assignment or a special, almost like independent study kind of presentation. And I think we're going to start off with Stephen. He's not today, but maybe you'll come up with something where each of you has the option of presenting a piece of the curriculum to the class, right, as an assignment. So you get marks for it and all that kind of stuff. You can choose to do that, or if you hate doing that kind of stuff and you just want to do the assignment that's part of the curriculum, you can do that too. The other thing is there's only so many topics, so you're going to have to sign up for these rather quick of stuff that I want to talk about. So when I give you this topic, we'll plan it for one of the weeks, and you'll talk for about half an hour to 45 minutes max, with some maybe a little bit of time for a Q&A, right? So you'll present something, we'll talk about which ones you can present. And the great thing about this is, from a learning perspective, it ramps up your learning even that much more when you actually teach the class some piece of what we're going to be talking about this semester. So, again, assignment number 1 is worth 20%, it's mandatory. And then the other 2 assignments, number 2 and number 3, either one of them, you can do 2 or 3, right? Or both. If you do 2 and 3, then you don't need to do this presentation thing, right? If you do 2 and you want to do a presentation in the last part of the class, you can do that. Or you can skip 2, right, and then do a presentation, and then do number 3, whatever one you want, right? So it gives you a little bit of flexibility in terms of presenting everything. The other option is, if you want to do all of it, you want to do, assignment 1, assignment 2, assignment 3, and a presentation piece, I would offer a bonus. I would create that as a bonus assignment that kind of add for people who aren't great at taking exams and all that kind of stuff. And I know some people are really great at doing assignment work, but lousy at taking exam work. They're not good at practical stuff. It might be a good opportunity for you to do it all, right? Now again, this is all time permitting, and as long as we have the curriculum for you guys to teach, because there's pieces of everything. I got to do some of that teaching. It can't be like all you, right? That would be crazy, right? So it's only about, again, half an hour to 45 minutes per session. So I don't have unlimited numbers of sections. And I put up a sign-up sheet with what you can sign up online. I'll kind of create something for you guys to sign up later on. Okay, so that's really it in a nutshell in terms of where the marks distribution is. So if you notice, a lot of 10%, there's only a few 20%. What that means is your first assignment and your midterm and your final exam, they're each about 20%. I don't want to make it a big hit for these things, right? So if you do your midterm exam and you're not great, it's not going to break you. You know what I'm saying? Because normally midterm exams are like 30, 40%, it's too much, or even the final 30, 40, it's too much, right? And I don't want that. I want it to be broken out so you have more opportunities to do well. Okay, which means a lot more coursework though, broken out over the term. Okay, let's talk about what the schedule is going to be like. So we're going to start off today, maybe next week, talking about MVC pattern controllers. I'd like to talk about security a little bit and some things around security if we get to it today. If not, again, I'll probably have. I know Stephen and I have talked before term about he was interested in doing a security kind of presentation. And again, Stephen, you can use that as one of your 2 assignments, assignment 2 or assignment 3. So you'll skip one of those. And then, so next week, maybe we can prepare. So the first part of next week, Stephen will prepare our presentation and our lesson for like a security overview for application security, right? Then we'll get into, next week we'll get into views and security testing. We'll talk about security testing a little bit more, how to test for security. There's going to be these 2 piece parts. And then week 3, we'll get into models. So if you notice, it's like MVC controllers and then views and models. And then week 4, I have kind of a mid-season, I call it like a mid-season break, mid-season test, right? And the test is going to be worth 10%, and it'll cover us MVC pattern, views and controllers using and models using ASP.NET MVC5, right? That's what it'll be. There's going to be 2 piece parts to it. One part is going to be theoretical. Multiple choice, true, false, blah, blah, blah. And then another piece to it is going to be practical, where you actually have to build some small app within the time frame, right? It won't be something, you will not be building like, a character sheet or some kind of like, role-playing game. It's not going to happen, not this round. It's got to happen, it's got to be something in terms of what makes sense for an MVC pattern, and something to do with security, obviously, because we want to kind of cover that as well. So that would be like the first 4 weeks. Week 5, we're going to get into the difference between membership and identity for ASP.NET MVC5, right? And also countermeasures, security countermeasures, how to fight against hacks and all that kind of stuff, right? And then we'll get into, that'll be like a 2-parter. So I'll do like week 5 and week 6, because it requires a couple weeks for us to talk about security a little bit, right? Our midterm exam is week 7, which will cover kind of more topics around this and more of maybe a different kind of practical idea. It'll be like the test, same kind of format as a test, just a little beefier. Second half, we're going to be talking about ASP.NET Web API. There's 2 parts to it, again. And the reason for that is you need a little bit more time to develop a service, right? Can't be just done in 1 week. This is impossible, right? There's not enough time to talk about it and develop it. Your second test, which is going to be purely basically on ASP.NET Web API. You're going to be testing on that, right? So all around what Web API is, right? And all that kind of stuff. That's test number 2. Week 11 and 12, this is where we're going to integrate our knowledge from AngularJS to develop single-page applications with Angular and MVC5, right? And then finally, week 13, I kind of left it as additional topics. The reason for that is because there might be space for other things, depending on how fast we get through this other stuff, right? And when I say additional topics, it could include other kind of RESTful services, some kind of socket I/O, that kind of thing that we haven't touched on with MVC5. Maybe more bootstrappy stuff, maybe things with Node, deployment options, and all that kind of stuff. And then finally, we have our final exam in week 14. So really, teaching weeks, when I say teaching weeks, we're not going to be teaching on week 4, on week 7, week 10, and week 14. Those 4 weeks, right, are all testing weeks, right? Where you come in, you do your test, and it's based on the other material that you're going to do. There's also something you're going to build that day. So some kind of in-house lab or assignment that you're going to pull out for the exam, a practical piece, right? And then the other assignments, I'm going to put, the assignments are basically based off of what you're learning as well. So it's going to, the assignments help you with the midterm exam. They help you understand the technology, right? So the first assignment, the reason why it's so beefy, it's going to probably include something to do with security and model view controller pattern with MVC5, right? So that's why it's 20%. That's why it's the most important piece, because it'll probably hit the majority of our objectives for the course, right? Second half, these extra 2, one will be on Web API, some kind of assignment with Web API that'll also help you with the test. So you get it here, you start working on it, then you do something with the test, and finally you deliver it on the 11th week, right? And then the last assignment will be something to do with single-page applications in AngularJS, right? That last assignment. So I know what people traditionally can do about this. If you like Angular, you want to probably do that assignment. Or maybe you're really good at Angular and you don't need to learn it, and you might skip that assignment and do a presentation, right? So you have a lot of flexibility here in terms of what you get out of this course. But either way, the great thing about this is it's all the tools that we know and love, right? And it's something that we're going to get back to some normalcy this semester. Any questions around this? All right. To do this stuff, we need to use Visual Studio 2013 with Update 4. That's one of the requests. So if you don't have Visual Studio 2013 with Update 4, please get it, update it, whatever you have to do. Also, I'm going to request that you have Visual Studio Web Essentials loaded into your system. So let's talk about requirements a little bit. But in order for me to do that, I want to stop recording this one now because this is just around the outline, and then we'll go into requirements in the next video.